Hello, everyone. Welcome. Welcome to today's Ask Me Anything with Ben and myself and a lot of Microsoft folks and our great OCs. We
Hey,
will
Florian.
introduce them very shortly. Here is a short overview, first of all. And please, everyone, introduce yourself in 1 or 2 sentences, and then we can kick off everything. We start with Jürgen.
Yeah, nice to see everyone today. My name is Jörgen Nilsson, actually. In the picture, you could think I'm related, but really not. And I have the honor of living in Sweden and be here to answer your questions today.
Thank you. And Gannon.
Hey, good morning from Chicago. I'm over in the US, so it's 10 a.m. here for me. But I'm a senior cloud engineer and happy to be here and happy to be answering your questions.
And Niels.
Yes, hi, Niels Kok from the Netherlands, MVP in enterprise mobility, and I'm a freelance consultant. I'm here to answer your questions.
And with another guy from the Netherlands.
Yeah, Joost Gluisteen from the Netherlands. I'm a solution lead workplace, doing everything with Intune.
Yeah, and welcome, Jason.
Hey everybody, Jason Sandys. So work for Microsoft. I'm a product manager on the team we call the Customer Acceleration Team. As most people hopefully know, I always love to help people, even though sometimes it always doesn't come across that way.
Thank you. And our next guy from Microsoft. I think we have a bit of a sound issue with your mic. We head over to Pierre, but come back to you, Leo. Pierre is muted as well. Let's try it with Rob. No, he's muted. Maybe you have to press the M key. Still no sound. Okay, we can try it back with Leo.
Hey, try that.
Hey, is it better now?
Yeah, your sound now is good.
Yeah, I'm good with that point. I'm not good at fixing microphones. Everyone, hi, nice to meet you. My name is Leo Bella. I am responsible for the business side for Microsoft Intune, located in the city of Chicago. Nice to meet you.
Thank you. And Rob and Pierre, does your sound now works or still the same?
Can you hear me? I think I was.
Yeah, perfect. Hi, Rob.
Perfect. Hey everyone, my name's Rob York. I'm a product manager for Intune and Windows Commercial, with a primary focus on our cloud native efforts of helping customers transition to Intune.
Great. And Pierre?
Yeah, my name is Pierre Larsen. I'm in the same team as Jason in the Intune organization, working with customers on deploying Intune and Intune Suite and removing blockers as well.
Great. So we have a really good crowd together. Looking much forward to answer some questions with you guys. One thing for our audience, we will raffle at the end admission tickets to our summit in April in Paris, where you will see a lot of those guys in the call here as well. So stay till the end and submit your questions. Ben, what do you think? Should we start with the first question?
Awesome. Yeah, we've tried to group the questions the best we can, so the panel doesn't have to context switch too much. But we are taking questions throughout the live event. If you go to our LinkedIn page for the event, if you go to the group page, you'll see the event. If you join the event from LinkedIn, you can just comment in there and ask your questions. We'll try and get some of the live questions into the AMA today as well. But yeah, let's go ahead. We've picked a really cool topic as our first topic. Everybody's excited about Intune Suite, so let's kick it off.
Yeah,
So
with
this is a
the
great
first-
question. So I'll probably
take it.
I'll read the first one out. I often struggle, not me personally, I often struggle to understand or clearly outline the cost-benefit position of the full Intune suite. How does Microsoft feel the total cost of the Intune suite is justified or best articulated to companies evaluating their commitments? So how do they convince their purse holders, I guess, on moving forward with Intune suite? I guess maybe somebody from Microsoft is best placed to answer this one.
We had to start with the difficult questions at first. I see. Thank you.
Yeah, we have to break the glass.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I'm not gonna go deep into pricing model. I strongly recommend to each one of the people that interested in the Intune suite to go to speak to their account representative to see the actual pricing for their needs. I want to emphasize something that is a lot more important than when we're looking at the prices. We're looking at the value, and if you look right now, Intune Suite does include 6 different solutions. The advanced analytics, which is amazing. We have a enterprise app management. We have Cloud PKI, which is really cool. If all of you that stuck with doing policies, Cloud PKI is something that saves a lot of time and it's so much easier to manage, renew, etc. We have like I said, advanced analytics. We have the remote help. We have EPM, so allows you to elevate admin rights access for specific scenarios. The value is there. The idea of enhancing productivity, reducing the number of tickets, reducing the number of tasks that need to be taken, and also, most importantly, from my point of view, enhancing the security posture, improving security in the organization, especially, for example, the simple scenario of EPM, the idea that you need to address tickets in order to elevate access for specific users just to install an app. This is a big deal. This is a massive time savings, but also allows you to remove all of the admin rights access from all of the end users. Benefit is absolutely there. So I would recommend to do it the other way around. Go to our Intune website, go to see the value over there, go see if there is a case for you, if there is a need for you, and then go speak to your account representative from Microsoft or your partners, Microsoft partner, to identify what is the cost for you and how does it look like. The value, I apologize for repeating it, but it's a question that came up many times. Even if you look at more than 2, if you're going to use 2 or 3 of the solutions out of the 6, you already can justify, in my point of view, the cost.
That's a great answer. I mean, I can give a personal opinion on this as well. When I was working as an admin in a company, before I was a consultant and a software engineer, one of the biggest things we were trying to do is reduce our software footprint just to make things simpler. So if I can have everything served by one system, it's easy for me. It's easy for me to train my staff and my admins. It's easy for me to adopt. It's easy for me to train. So yeah, simplification for me is a big one. So I definitely agree with what you're saying there, Lior.
Yes, definitely the simplification, I would say, for me as well, because one vendor, you of course can have all the tools from someone else, but to have everything in one console, that's the biggest benefit. So let's take the next one. Yeah, sorry, someone wanted something to add? No, good. The next question, Leo, kind of answered. Where can I find the full feature list of Intune Suite and the products that are on the roadmap? He mentioned a lot of the features which are already out. Has anyone something to add here? If there are special resources or special pages you would recommend to check out?
I'll jump on this one.
Avocloud.nl.
Make sure you check our blogs. We update live the Microsoft 365 roadmap, which is a public website. You can see everything that we are releasing. You can see when the public previews are coming and when is the general availability will be there. More stuff is coming. Will I share stuff? No. But I can tell you that the really cool stuff is coming, and more enhancements, even to the existing solutions that we have in place. So as usual, make sure that you check out IT websites, our regular blogs, even follow us on LinkedIn. And LinkedIn, I think it's the really good place, especially around the Microsoft Intune account. You will definitely see a lot of updates on that.
And Niels, you wanted something to add here?
Yeah, I just want to make a joke that to mention Rudy's blog, that because you can find anything on Rudy's blog. So yeah,
That's true. Anything and a bit more.
Anything and a bit more, bit of DLLs and bit of stuff. Yeah, please check out his blog. I'm sure you already have, because whenever you Google an error code that you get from an Intune device, you will end up on Rudy's blog. That's a fact.
Yeah, I'll real quick, I'll throw a link in the comments too. Someone just wrote a blog last week that covers in detail all of the features, what's an add-on, what's in Plan 2, what's in the Intune suite. That's really useful, especially if you don't know, what's all included and what can be added on. So I'll toss that in the comments.
Perfect, thank you. So we head over to the next one. Oh, I know this name. So what is your personal hottest topic around Intune or the suite, and what are you looking for in the future? So that's a question to every one of you. Who wants to start?
Yeah. I think Cloud PKI and the next step in EPM. So those are the most hot topics for me and for my customers I'm serving.
Yeah, for me, Cloud PKI is a big one. So really waiting for that to come out. But on top of that, outside of the new features, for me, it's Mac management. That seems to be coming up a lot more. So that's something I'm looking to get more experience with, because I'm still pretty green on that.
The Microsoft guys, what are you looking forward to? Something you can share, of course.
I can go next. For me, it's actually EPM support approved, because that is going to change the way that the product is working for the end user. It's a way better experience for unknown applications to actually be elevated.
Well, I can add some thoughts as well. I must say, for personally, it's all the products in the Intune suite and where they're going and being developed forward, and also application control for business support, because that's a huge question in all the migration projects we're doing right now. How to whitelist what's allowed to run on the machine.
Yeah, especially with the managed installer. Like,
yes,
great benefit in comparison to like the classic app locker policies. Anyone else?
Yeah, there's a follow-up question about the Cloud PKI. Would we be able to use it to request handle certificates for non-Intune managed devices? Well, I think that is not possible, but please let the Microsoft guys elaborate on that.
Anyone of you want to take this? Connections to non-Intune managed devices for Cloud PKI?
For example, for
that
an
is
internal web server.
that is not possible when we're going to release it.
Cool.
It is into managed devices first.
Yeah, makes definitely sense. So I'd say we take another question. Ben, do you want to take that?
Yeah. Can you install Microsoft Enterprise Catalog apps during autopilot pre-provisioning? So the new Enterprise Application Catalog, can we install those apps during autopilot pre-provisioning?
I think so. When you assign them device-based, it should be possible, right? It's just an Intune app. It's just an Intune Win32 app or line of business application. I don't know exactly, but whenever you have them device-based assigned, you will get them in the pre-provisioning process because they use the same deployment method that the regular apps are using. So yeah, you can use that.
Perfect. Thank you, Niels. So another question about app deployment. During app deployment using Win32, is there a sure shot way to know the installation and uninstallation command for a particular application? So a bit more tricky question, not necessarily Intune related, but
I
maybe
think
someone can
it's
take that.
always
It's
it
enterprise
depends, right?
application management.
Yeah,
So
what I
we
do
got the sure
personally,
answer.
This is kind of an
The
age-old one
short
for
answer is enterprise application management. But,
yeah.
maybe not to
The
answer
core
that
question
before.
here is an age-old Windows challenge, right? I mean, this isn't anything new. This isn't anything new with Intune. This isn't anything new with Config Manager. This, Alteryx. It doesn't matter what platform you're using. We as Microsoft have created an ecosystem where it's kind of wide open on how to install apps. And so, right, if you're using an MSI, it's fairly straightforward, but even there's variability. So the answer is, there is no way. Trial and error is number one. Referencing vendor documentation is number two. Or, and this is what Per was calling out. This is part of the reason we did create a solution like EAM. It's also part of the reason we have other solutions in the market as well. So there's no one good answer here except for experience and learning your heuristics around this as well, because there's a lot of different permutations here.
Yeah, definitely.
I can probably add a slightly different angle to this question as well from Roshni, Florian. So I'm not sure, just in case it was asked in a different way. So during app deployment, is there any way to know the installation command? So maybe the question is, as the app is deployed, can I see what the installation command line is on the device? Maybe that might be the question. And I would say, unless you're in the Intune admin center looking at the install commands, the only other real ways to get that information via Graph or have a look at the Intune management extension log file on the client that's installing the app. And that should call out the install command. I'm 99% sure.
Yeah, if you're talking about like data privacy at that point, so if you have some type of security key or some type of secret that's in the command line, that will be exposed, right? Yeah, so if it's from that angle, don't put anything secret on the command line for sure, right? It can be discovered.
Yeah, good shout. Awesome. Thank you.
So our next topic, always a big topic as well, Autopilot. Ben, I give it back to you.
Yeah, we had a lot of questions on Autopilot. A lot of questions on Autopatch again as well after our first AMA. So people are really interested in these topics. So to the panel, out of your experience, what has been the feedback of corporations adopting Autopilot scenarios where the Autopilot process is run by the new employees themselves?
I could
I'm
say
guessing this is talking about pre-provisioning and user experience, I guess.
Yeah. I've just started to implement a company that has 6,500 laptops around the world, 128 locations. And they're moving from MDT to Windows Autopilot. And they use a BitLocker pin as well, which is not supported, but we found a way through Oliver Kieselbach's blog to configure it. They are adopting it, and it's a bit of a slippery slope because they need to configure the BitLocker pin itself. It pops up automatically, and whenever you click on the red cross in the top right corner, it will pop again. It keeps popping up, so they need to enter, and there's a custom compliance policy which checks for it. So at the moment, they're still in POC pilot phase. They're now running like 30 machines. And they are confirming that users can do it themselves. So yeah, I could say when you have an advanced configuration in an enterprise app management scenario, that the users should be able to do it themselves. adoption is always something you need to look out for and need to you need to really talk to your users. Just don't chuck the laptop in their laps and expect them to run Windows Autopilot by themselves. Teach them. Make sure you have ambassadors within your company, and then I think you will succeed.
Yeah, I can add on to that too. I mean, a lot of the clients that I help are larger clients that have an internal IT department. And I think a lot of it is educating the sysadmins in the internal IT people that Autopilot is their friend. You know, a lot of them are used to manually configuring or manually imaging PCs and provisioning them and giving them to users. And that takes a lot of time. There's a lot of margin for error there. When you show them Autopilot or demo it to them and tell them, hey, you have remote users or you have users that, are hybrid, you literally just have to have them unbox their computer and log into it, assuming their license is assigned and everything. So I think the education piece is a big one, and letting those organizations know that Autopilot is their friend and it'll literally provision the computer for them.
Yeah, I can add to that we see a lot of interest in pre-staging as well, of course, because that enhances the end user initial experience immensely. And many already have that in their process today, that they have a vendor doing that, and those vendors they are selling this service instead to do Autopilot pre-staging. So it's very natural to work in the same way, and it's a huge end user experience boosts.
Yeah, definitely. I had my first day last summer at the new company, and it was great to get a new, freshly pre-provisioned Autopilot device. Was some clicks, first login, setup of my authenticator, and I was nearly ready to go. Of course, some insights for the company and everything, but the process can be very smooth. And the next one, also about Autopilot, is how can I get the device serial number, one Windows product ID, hardware hash for the out-of-the-box experience?
Yeah, I'm going to assume here they're talking about the hardware hash, so pre-registered devices for the Autopilot service. Is there a good way to do this? Does anybody want to speak to this?
Yeah, well, as always, it depends, right? So whenever you have currently domain joined machines and you can grab them easily via group policy or script or something else, and if you have widespread machines without management, no third-party management solution, then things can be rough. But if they're a local admin and they're unmanaged, then there's an example that you can create a script, send it to them, and they will send you an email with the hardware hash back. So it depends very on your situation. And whenever you have domain joined machines, it's quite easily. You just grab them via group policy. But there's always a difference. Yeah.
I just add to that the easiest way is to enroll them. I find it's somewhat of a little known way to register devices into Autopilot, but as long as your devices are enrolled into Intune, once you target an Autopilot profile, Autopilot and Intune handle that registration for you, so you don't need to go capture the hashes. But just to repeat what you said before, it's going to depend on the scenario. And also, just bear in mind, you can still get an enrolled device by going through Ubi, even if you've not pre-registered. It's just a slight experience change that the user will go through, but you can ultimately get it into a joined and managed scenario through Intune without actually enrolling it, if that is an easy way to do it. But registration, joining it into Intune, deploying the profile, definitely the easiest way to go.
Yeah, I was going to add to that. We know there's friction, and it is something we are investigating on how we can improve it. There's really nothing to share. Juanita, she's the PM that owns it, has shared a little bit, I think, publicly in the past. as far as where we're going, or thoughts on where we're going, because nothing's definitive at this point, but there are investigations on improving the whole process.
Does anybody here help their customers just drop the JSON file into the file directory? Is anybody doing it that way?
With the
Reset
offline
the
join.
device? Yeah.
We also have
And
customers that is working either with the partner or the OEM to get them to upload the information because they don't need the hardware hashes. They have a different way of doing it that is way easier. So if you have a good relationship either with the OEM or with your Microsoft partner, it is possible to do it without collecting the hardware hashes, and we have had customer doing that with success for many years.
Yeah, I want to build on that. Yeah, usually from the OEM you can get the hash files. From Microsoft Surface you don't need actually the hash. The number is sufficient from simplification. I can say that maybe I'm doing a promo here for in April at the Paris event that we're having. We're gonna have a lot more updates about Autopilot and some additional announcements. So make sure you're looking into it.
Awesome.
Yeah, just one caveat there: don't double register. Like, if you're going to go get them from the OEMs, don't then go deploy profiles to your existing devices or vice versa. Just pick one method for enrolling a given device and stick with it, because you can end up with them being double registered. Because I think it was Per that mentioned hashes are one way of registering a device. If the OEMs register them for you, that's not a hash. So there can be situations where you get slightly different information and they're not necessarily deduped in the back end. So just pick one method and go with it. Enrollment and Autopilot profile would be my personal recommendation.
I can just add to that that's a part of every project, right? We need to establish that process where the vendor register it, because it's so much easier. So they should always do that, and all of the vendors have that in place now as well. And also make all of the other requirements on the vendor, which version of the OS they should ship, bloated image, yeah, the whole discussion, right? That's an important design phase in your Autopilot deployment and planning as well.
Right, thank you. So we take the next one. I see this is for Autopilot Hybrid. Ben, do you want to take it?
Yeah, so Dionys is asking, what is the best scenario to automate device deletion in Entra ID when performing a redeploy of Autopilot Hybrid Join?
I'm laughing because I'm waiting for Rob's comment.
Find the link.
Looks like he's distracted.
Can you not hear me?
I mean, I will comment here really quick. The bottom line here, the bottom line of the question kind of is the key piece. I'm like not even focusing on the rest of the question, right? I mean, at the end of the day, we don't want folks doing this. We've said this publicly. It can work. It is supported. People do use it. So there is a path to success here, but that path is rocky at best. You know, even in the best circumstances, it's still potentially rocky. And we prefer folks not to do this, right? We're pretty clear in documentation that for new devices, we really want you to do full Entra join. I was about to say AD, sorry, and got stuck on that. But we really want you to do full Entra join. And hybrid's great for your existing devices. Again, we're super clear about this in various places in documentation. And so the question here kind of gets to another challenge that happens when you start going down that hybrid path. And I say another because the list is pretty long. I have a blog post out there that I wrote about 2 years ago that has maybe 75 to 80% of the things that we know about that are painful or are full of friction for customers. But there are other things in that list as well. And what's called out here is one of those things. And there just isn't a great, from a design perspective, path to pursue. So I'll leave it for one of the folks who's actually had to deal with this with a customer, because I haven't really gone down this path with a specific customer, to comment more though. Or Rob might throw some of his color in, some of his cheerfulness.
I like the Oz comment. Friends don't let friends do autopilot hybrid join.
Yeah, absolutely. Can you hear me? I'm starting to fear a conspiracy because Claire couldn't hear me before. Yeah, like Jason touched all the points. I want to be clear. It's not recommended to do hybrid during autopilot. You might have seen it Ignite last year, and we've had some subsequent blogs. But we've really laid out our vision of where we think customers should be, and that is 100% cloud native. And cloud native, for the purposes of clarity, is Intune managed and Entra joined. It's not hybrid. It's not AAD. It's not AD. It's those two cloud situations. And for your existing devices, uplifting them to hybrid is the way that hybrid was intended to be. It gets you all the benefits of the cloud on your existing devices without having to do some kind of technical acrobatics to convert them, or to otherwise change them. So for your existing devices, get them to co-managed, get them to hybrid, and that's going to get you as much equity and equality across your estate as you need. But for your new devices, Intune only and AADJ is absolutely the way to go. And if hybrid is still something that you need, there's still plenty of use cases where customers need hybrid. Like, just continue deploying your devices the way you're deploying them. Focus on the devices that you can move over, and that's how we've seen customers be successful. Is to not try and swallow the elephant whole. Find the personas and the portions of your estate that you can start to move, bring them into the benefits of the autopilot provisioning, get them into that cloud state, and work on the tail of problems that are causing you to not be there. And some of that is product gaps, and we want to know those things that are holding you back and the things that you need to do with Intune only. Some of it's going to be process, some of it's going to be rationalizing your app estate. Like, there's a bunch of process change that needs to go in there as well. So this is not an overnight change. And we hope that the clarity in our messaging of how we talk about that journey of existing devices uplift to the cloud, new devices be cloud native, that's an acknowledgement of that this is not an overnight change, and it's going to take years for most customers to be able to do this. So yeah, friends don't let friends do autopilot and hybrid. That's the cheerful way of saying it.
Thanks, Rob. It's really interesting. One of the points you made actually leads on really nicely to the next question. We've just got a couple more questions autopilot related. Yeah, if you can cue the next one up, Florian.
Yeah, of course.
It's a bit of a long one, but I guess it breaks down. I'll read it out. The person didn't choose to remain anonymous. It's just we didn't capture the name. So my environment has a mix of hybrid Azure AD joined co-managed devices, and they're also using Azure AD joined and Intune only, which have been provisioned by Autopilot. So the question here is, how can we move the existing devices to Intune only and Azure AD joined without having to reset the devices? So is this something that we commonly see where customers have a hybrid Azure AD joined device that they want to make it Intune and Azure AD joined? Is the only option to reset the device, or is that the best option?
It's a combination of somewhat of those two. It's a combination of the best and the only. We don't recommend it though. Like, we recommend that the way to convert is just to leave those existing devices until they refresh out, and just get them at the natural refresh stage. Or opportunistically, we know a lot of customers reset devices or reimage devices for troubleshooting purposes. The help desk script gets 30 minutes in and you're still none the wiser. So, hey, let's just go reimage the device because we know that's going to solve it. It's kind of like, hey, I'm getting a new car because my check engine light came on, but it's pretty effective and pretty repeatable. So, like, if that's your process and you're deploying net new cloud native devices, don't double down on the old thing just because you're replacing a non-cloud native device. Like, use that opportunity to move them over. But frankly, the impact to the user of having them go through a reset and re-provision just because you want to move the state of the device, obviously there's loads of benefits of moving them over, but they're not necessarily hugely user-facing. Like, the user is going to go from having a Windows machine that they use to access email. They're going to be offline for a couple of hours while you reset and re-provision them, and then they're going to come back online, and they're going to have a Windows machine that they use to get email. It's just how users think about these devices. So the actual impact to the user is not necessarily worth the effort to go do it. There might be other things that kind of change that that equation. So customers that are on the cusp of actually finally decommissioning their domains or their data centers, and they want to make that move over. Like, yeah, sure, that's definitely going to go change the calculation there. But the recommendation is not to worry about the reset or the conversion of your existing devices. Just get them to hybrid, get them to co-management, get your workloads into Intune so you get that single pane of glass from Intune, so you're not managing from two places. And again, from the admin perspective, you've kind of achieved the goal of what you need with reduced TCO and lower cost around that. But the conversion is potentially just the juice is not worth the squeeze, and doing it that way is how we consider this. One conflation that we often see is customers that are actually wanting just to decommission Config Manager and take Config Manager off of their existing devices. This is a much lower lift. Like the identity of the device, the AD versus Entra, so ingrained into the device. That's why it's almost impossible to do the conversion in a seamless way, and the reset is the way to go. But for Config Manager, co-management was designed as a back-outable experience. Like, once you're ready to remove Config Manager from a given device, it's just ccm exec/uninstall, and hey, like, it's now Intune only. And then it's just the identity state. And again, the recommendation there is just let it age out and replace it when it comes to it. So high-level answer is we don't recommend doing the conversion, but if you really need to do the conversion, reset and reprovision is the recommended approach.
Cool. Thanks, Rob. Our last autopilot question, then we can move on to another topic.
Yeah, here's what autopilot strategy can one implement for a geographically dispersed organization comprised of low, medium, and high bandwidth locations? Can a one-size-fits solution work given a such scenario? So I think we heard from pre-provisioning earlier. That would be, of course, something that can help here. Anyone wants to take that maybe with a example project they had with multiple locations in different geographic locations?
Yeah, I can take that one. And I've heard Niels also talking to about one, so maybe he can elaborate as well. But yeah, pre-provisioning, create it from one place or several places, then send it to the user locations, and or ask the users if it's a very low bandwidth location, please come to the office to get the best experience. But because I've got one who was into a very, more in a tent than in a workplace. So he came back to the office and did the autopilot effect.
Yeah, and this is in the Netherlands, this is quite easy, right? So you can pass through the country in like 3 hours. But whenever you are in the US whenever you are in the US and you're really remote location and you only have a couple of Mbits, then it's hard. Pre-provisioning is something you can do, but when you only have a couple of Mbits available, then this will be a thing, and you will have to have a proper onboarding process where you can have the users enroll their machines whenever they pick them up, or I don't know. It depends, and make sure you have your applications. I mentioned again, device-based assigned. Otherwise, they won't get availability in the pre-provisioning process. I have a customer which what I'm now working for, and we're going to use Intune Suite and Intune and Cloud PKI and all that kind of stuff. They have locations where it's just a mobile network which sends out a Wi-Fi signal, and we're going to try to do autopilot on that. It's 5G, and so it's high bandwidth, but Yeah, I don't know whether that's going to work or not. Whenever we have done the proof of concept on that location, I might share it in a blog or so.
Okay, yeah, we're looking forward to that.
I think I'll add one point as well. Like I think you can use different strategies. So even if you don't do pre-provisioning, you just go through a normal autopilot scenario. Just be mindful of what applications you're deploying. So definitely with the ESP profile, look at blocking apps. Just deploy the bare minimum you can, so the user is able to log into the device and start, mooching around and getting a bit productive. Yeah, don't go deploying all of your app estate in your ESP profile as blocking apps. That's a bad experience.
Yeah, and I think that kind of goes to what I think it was Gannon was saying earlier about the approach for autopilot, just the approach for cloud management in general. Like it's intended to be a lighter touch management. As a general rule, users are not the same users that they were in 1995. Users are comfortable with the idea of finding the apps that they need that are kind of ancillary to their job, or not necessarily core business requirements, and just moving it out of that micromanagement approach and just getting the core apps to get them productive and up online, and then the other apps that are required can come down, and then the other apps that that they want to go find, they can go search for. So yeah, absolutely, there's a slight change in the way of thinking about how you manage the devices, and frankly, that's where a lot of the benefits come for the admin, like not micromanaging and not thinking about every single edge case and every single piece of flow that might happen. But obviously, there are still core apps. I don't know what the definition of the low bandwidth here is, so that's there's a little bit of an unknown here. But hopefully, the experience should be relatively the same, regardless of the bandwidth. It's just the speed that then changes.
Yeah, I'll tack on a little bit as well. Sorry, just real quick. I think one of the things that people wrongly assume is as we Microsoft are pushing folks forward, that you have to move with us necessarily. And while we want you to, and we think you have the best benefits from that, one of the reasons that we are moving forward and doing new things is because the world has moved forward as well, right? Rob kind of alluded to it. The users aren't the same as they used to be. And neither is technology, neither are the bad guys, neither is the internet, neither are any of these things. So it's not just about you moving with us where we're going, but just evaluating everything, right? Staying the same, it could be the right answer, but if you're not actually reviewing and actually, making sure that that's the right answer, and you're just doing it because that's the way you've always done it, you're probably falling into a big trap here, and you're not actually serving your customers the best. So, right, that's why we're moving forward, because we know things have changed. And we invite you to move forward with us as well.
Awesome. I think, was that our last autopilot question, Florian?
I think so as well. Yeah, we come to another really hot topic. And this time,
we've only got a few questions for Windows updates. Everybody must be like totally okay with Windows updates now. Like you've solved that problem for people. Thank you, Microsoft. Good work. Yeah, Florian, you go for the first question.
Yeah. So someone is piloting Windows Windows Update for Business on hybrid devices. They switch successfully, but don't pick any updates. As a rule, we find random local policy settings. If we manually update any stuck setting to not configured, everything starts working as expected. Are we missing something, or maybe you have a high level advice? Maybe there is an easy way to clear all local policies. I think that's one for Joost, because he just published a blog this week.
Yeah, I could use this one. It's not only hybrid devices, because we've got on several locations, several customers, we had an issue where local group policies were still bugging our devices. And it can be done by MDT or hybrid or anything else. But there were still group policies assigned, and still trying to do some updates or WSUS things and doing a lot of stuff. So I created and searched for any solution, and then I came up with a remediation script to delete the AU folder in the registry, So you push out everything what's in the group policy, and then you get all the Windows updates from the WoofB department. And it was a little bit hard to search. Had a lot of talks with Arya as well, troubleshooted, and after some days I came up with the solution.
Also, maybe you can post that in the LinkedIn chat. That'd be great for people to see.
We'll
Yeah,
search it.
definitely. Good, then I'd say we hop over to the next one. Ben, do you want to take that one?
Yeah. Are there any plans to bring the equivalent of config manager maintenance windows to Intune? Some orgs still need to control when apps or updates are installed.
For updates, there's already a feature called deployment cadence, I think, within the deployment windows within Windows Auto Patch. I don't know whether it's in Windows Updates for Business as well, but I know there's an auto patch feature that can set a maintenance window. So there's something like that, and I don't know whether it's not for apps, of course, but yeah, there's something like it. I don't know whether it's going to grow where you can set a proper maintenance window, but I think you should stop comparing SCCM to Intune because it's never going to be the same. It's never going to be feature parity, and the world of cloud is different than the world on premises. So I get your point, but yeah, whenever you want to compare these stuff, I think you will have a bad time because in the end, the products will never be the same.
So yeah, just to, you hear me? My mic sounds like it's been funny again.
No, all good.
No, you can hear me. I'm just getting weird feedback, which is horrible because I can hear myself. I know how everyone else feels now. So just on the feature parity perspective, like, yes, we're not going to go build config manager in the cloud, but that doesn't mean that we're not going to go make sure that you can achieve the business outcomes that you need to achieve in the cloud. Now that doesn't, like, feature parity doesn't mean one-to-one. Feature parity means achieving those business goals. And maintenance windows is one of the things on my list. I literally have a list, it's probably open on this device, that we've been looking at a lot lately, and maintenance windows is on there. There's nothing to share. That I can probably say it's not even actively being worked on at the moment, but it's on our list of a problem that we know we need to solve. But I think we also need to understand the business requirements of the customers that need it. Like, if you're using maintenance windows to achieve some kind of scheduling for everything in your environment, that's probably the thing that we're not going to go build. But if you're using maintenance windows for, I'm going to think of an example that I know of, production line machines, where, hey, if I patch this machine at 12 noon on a Friday, I want to get fired because I just took down our car manufacturing plant or our medicine production line. Like, insert whatever scenario it is there. So there's definitely scenarios that we know of, and I'd be keen if people have feedback around their needs for maintenance windows. I'd be more than happy to take those and feed those into our thinking and our design of what that might eventually look like. You can find me on Twitter, rob.york. Like, our email addresses are also not that hard to back engineer. So if you've got some feedback there, you can drop me an email at jason.sandys@microsoft.com. More than happy to receive that feedback. But yeah, it's not a computer says no that we're not going to go build it, but we do need to understand the kind of the core business requirements of, like, what it is that's blocking you from being able to adopt X feature in Intune. But I think maintenance windows would, probably be one that we'll eventually have to go build and solve for customers as we help customers do that transition.
Awesome. Thank you, Jason. I think that was it for Windows Update. We move on to some, just in the time we have left, we've got about 10 minutes. There's just some general Intune questions. So these are quite interesting. First question is really, really interesting. So Intune or Config Manager for big enterprises in 2024 to 2030. So perhaps this customer is maybe looking at a refresh and looking at the options they have.
Let me jump in. I'm going to let my colleagues answer, but absolutely Intune. One of the big stuff that we talk about, and you see a lot, is all of the new capabilities that we are adding on top. Forget about Intune specifically. The Intune Suite, Windows 365, security co-pilots. All of those capabilities and all of those solutions that actually will improve customer experience, especially large enterprises, requires Intune. Your data in the cloud. The more data that you have on Intune, the better you can analyze, detect, and remediate situations with your environment. So if it was me, forget about me working for Microsoft, and I would look at my enterprise, absolutely Intune.
So I think we have a clear answer here.
I'm
But I'm not
interested
sure.
to see if anyone would disagree.
Is it really a question about if or Intune or both? As you said before, we still have some manufacturing scenarios, for example. Say that that's maybe 4% of your estate. Should that block the 96% of your estate to have a great user experience and a modern user experience? No, right? So maybe the answer is it could be both as well, if you're a big enterprise with different requirements. But again, looking at the end user experience and the end user value for a normal person, Intune would be the way to go.
So let's take another one. Also a very interesting topic. We heard at the beginning from Jürgen. Are there any plans to fold the WDAC, the Windows Defender Application Control, or Windows App for Control for Business wizards to Intune? With WDAC now available under App Control for Business, it makes sense to bring all the functionality into one place. So that
Yeah,
would be
I can take that one.
folks.
Yeah. So first of all, we did a lot of improvement on WDAC last year in Intune. One of them was create the capabilities of doing a managed installer. The other one was to create a wizard where you can just upload the XML file if you were using the wizard. We are looking into and investigating if we can do the IT admin experience even better in the future. So that is the standpoint we have right now. We are looking into it, but no confirmation yet.
Okay, thank you.
Awesome. Okay, so dynamic groups. We face challenges in inventory-based dynamic group creation in Intune. In SCCM, we have multiple dynamic collections, and there's no possibility to create similar groups in Intune, and that's a major roadblock in that workload transfer to Intune. Can you suggest if Microsoft has plans to improve that capability in the future?
I guess I'll take this one a little bit. I'll say one real generic statement. We always have lots of plans, lots of things in the backlog. This is one of the feedback items. I think that's been there for a long time. We hear pretty consistently from customers, small to large, particularly those that have come from Config Manager because they are used to having this type of flexibility. And it's no doubt that having this flexibility and ability to do these things has some advantages. So very similar to what Rob said before as well too, right? We have this list of things that, yeah, we think we should probably do something about this. And this is definitely pretty high on that list. But there's not anything explicitly to share other than, yeah, we know we need to go do something about this. And now the difference between this one and I think Rob was talking about the maintenance windows before, is that this is a little bit of a bigger scope. So even if we do start doing something around this one, it's going to take us longer to actually implement, and there's going to be some other grander ramification here. From a just my perspective on how we're approaching this internally, I have confidence that we are going to do something here, and this is going to get addressed sooner rather than later. But sooner here is still time scale years, most likely. As I said, this is not a small challenge, but we do know, and of course, you know, coming from my background, this is something that I heavily use and heavily customize for customers and config managers. So totally empathize here. But it's not an easy one to solve. Lots of stuff going on in the background at the end of the day.
Yeah, there's a fundamental technology change here, as you know, Intune is based on AAD groups or intergroups, and that presents a significant part of the challenge that Jason was talking about. There's also some of the process change that we were talking about earlier of, you know, not needing 75 billion collections. I might have rounded up a little bit, but you kind of get the intent. But we do know that there are scenarios where still having that custom inventory and that custom targeting is necessary, and you know, there's key business requirements. But as Jason says, there's nothing immediately to share, but it's on my list. I'll just to my right. We do know about this one, and you know, we do know that there are gaps for us to go close, and this definitely falls into that bucket.
Awesome. I think there are some community solutions. I can't think of them off the top of my head where you could, somebody who's using a function app to look at inventory, maybe collected by the Intune management extension, maybe collecting log analytics and then building out dynamic groups from that information. I guess that's a cool way to do stuff. I'd maybe draw caution to that. If your device is not reporting inventory for some reason and you're relying on group creation based on that data, and you're relying on targeting for those groups, then you might be finding those devices not getting apps you're deploying. So just maybe a little bit of caution if you're doing that dynamic targeting.
I'll throw one thing in to kind of tie this question all the way back to the very first question or first questions around Intune Suite. One of the things that I don't think, Lear, you called this out, right? One of the new cool features of analytics, it's part of analytics, rightly so, but in reality, we should be talking about it, in my opinion, all by itself, is device query, which is effectively the reincarnation of CM Pivot, right? And it's the ability to real-time query your devices. Today, it's only single devices, a little bit of emphasis on today. We have lots of plans. I will say, and I've said this before publicly, that is effectively tip of the iceberg of what device query, which is a much broader term than just that functionality, really. It's tip of the iceberg of where we intend to go. So not attempting to draw people to any conclusions other than this is really a committed effort by engineering and you know, Intune to move the needle significantly, right? To give people more functionality. And this isn't going to be Windows only as well. It's another one of those challenges that we have, right? In the config manager world, we could bring innovation relatively quickly because we only had to worry about Windows. In the Intune world, while I generally think Windows is the place we should be focusing, but that's me being very biased, right? We clearly have lots of other platforms that do things very differently and are managed very differently as well. And so we want to solve this challenge across all the platforms, right? And bring that awesome functionality to all of them. So that's part of the challenge here as well. And what makes this a much longer tail as well than just, you know, a single sprint or quarter for us within our planning cycles.
Excellent. Thank you, Jason. I think we're just conscious of time. This has been an awesome AMA. I think, Lior, you've seen some questions in the chat and LinkedIn that maybe you want to speak to.
Yeah, I just finished a series of customer meetings the past week and a half. And I think one of the new hot topics that I hear about is Mac OS management, something that a lot of our customers are asking about because they do use a third party usually to manage those devices. I strongly recommend you to go and investigate a little bit the capabilities of Intune managing those Mac OS management. It was a question about platform SSO. It's coming, and it's coming soon. I'm going to share dates in very soon. I just need to log some information. But the platform SSO integration with Entra ID simplified the deployment of macOS, as well as we have phenomenal capabilities, aka.ms/Intune for Mac. Strongly recommend you to look into it. It's emphasized the value that Intune is a central management solution for all of your operating systems. And I think this is added additional value to what customers are looking for. Super popular questions, getting a lot of pings about it, so wanted to call it out.
Perfect. Thank you, Leo. So with that, I think we wrap the AMA up. As promised, we will do a short raffle at the end for every question that we've got from you guys. Ben, do you have the raffle already ready?
Yeah, let me just share that now. It's been a great session. So sharing Spin the Wheel. Can you see that to queue up, Florian?
Yes, just here.
Awesome. So thank you everybody for submitting your questions. Those who have entered questions and those we've tracked in chat, we've added to the wheel. This is the opportunity to win a ticket to the MEM Summit, 17th to 19th of April in Paris. Really stoked for this event. Lots of great speakers lined up. JJ Milder, congratulations. You've won a ticket. So we'll reach out to you on LinkedIn. Congratulations.
Awesome. And also, I will add to the comments the link to the summit page, so that for those of you who haven't saw it or want to see more information or want to have their own ticket, you can head over there and see all the details. And with that, I would say we can end today's Ask Me Anything. Thanks everyone for attending, for your knowledge, for your answers you gave to us and the community. Anyone wants to add before we close the call? Good. Then I would say bye everyone, and hopefully see you another time.